Thank you, Acme leadership, for inviting me here today and for your spirit of volunteerism here at this corporation. And to all of you volunteers who've signed up to make your focus during this volunteer season at Acme pancreatic cancer awareness, specifically through volunteering with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, or PanCAN, as we like to call ourselves. I am Pam Copeland, as I was introduced, and I am a representative from PanCAN. Let me tell you, during my time today, I'd like to let you know that I'm going to share with you a brief overview of pancreatic cancer and a case study, some terminology, a little tiny bit of anatomy, and some statistics. How many of you have been touched by pancreas cancer? A loved one, a family member, a co-worker? Okay, me too. Do you remember what you thought? What words came to mind perhaps the first time you heard that someone has pancreas cancer? I remember what I do, yes?
Foreign.
Foreign,
Like something
okay.
I wasn't used to. It was like something not in my world.
Not known to you, absolutely. That makes sense. I know what I thought, the words when I first heard it. Death sentence. That sounds harsh, but the statistics are quite grim. What do these two people have in common? Let me get out of your way here. And who are they, by the way? Anybody know?
Dirty Dancing.
Patrick Swayze on your right, my left, and Steve Jobs, founder of Apple. What do they share in common? They both were diagnosed with and succumbed to pancreatic cancer. In the case of Steve Jobs, you all are going to have a little trouble seeing here. Let me step over here for a moment. In the case of Steve Jobs, it was a type called islet cell carcinoma. Don't want to get too deep. Two different kinds of cells in the pancreas. Islet cell is responsible for hormone production, what we know as blood sugar regulation. Okay? And Patrick Swayze had something called adenocarcinoma, big word for duct cancer. In his case, it was pancreatic adenocarcinoma, meaning he had cancer in the cells of the ducts, which are part of the digestive system for the pancreas. A few statistics. The one highlighted in yellow, you'll see pancreas cancer has the highest mortality rate of all major cancers. You'll see that 55,000 people will succumb to it this year, and these statistics are based on 2018. You can see my sources below. A few more men than women. Over 44,000 will die this year. If the diagnosis is a metastatic diagnosis, that simply means the cancer has moved from the primary organ to other parts of the body. People diagnosed with metastatic pancreas cancer generally only have 3 to 6 months to live. It represents only 3% of all cancers diagnosed in the US, but has a 7% death rate. And the type we're talking about is the Patrick Swayze type, adenocarcinoma. It is the most prevalent. It accounts for 94% of all pancreas cancer diagnoses. And these statistics represent this type. A little bit of anatomy. So some of you are thinking, okay, Pam, I know I have a pancreas. I'm not quite sure what it does. Let's have a little lesson. Pancreas is about 6 inches by 2 inches. It sits behind the stomach. So in this picture, the stomach's been removed so you can see it. Head of the pancreas sits right here behind the stomach. It trails back behind the stomach over toward your spleen on the left. It is one organ, 2 functions, as I said. One participates in the endocrine or hormone system and regulates blood sugar. That's what most people know it as. The second is part of the digestive system, where digestive enzymes are produced and put into the digestive system. And you'll see the 2 cell types here, the endocrine and exocrine. So you all are thinking, oh my goodness, this is a horrible disease, and it is. What causes it? Truth is, the causality has not been confirmed, but we do know there are some risk factors associated with it. Smoking, things you can change, stop smoking. Watch your weight. Overweight and obesity are attributed. They think that might be connected with type 2 diabetes. Workplace chemical exposure, particularly dry cleaning chemicals and chemicals used in metal working have been identified as potential risk factors, as well as 2 that I added. This is a note by me: alcohol consumption and diet, as they relate to diabetes and liver cirrhosis. Unchangeables, again, are age. 71 years of age is average onset. More men than women. Gender. Race, 25% higher incidence in African Americans than Caucasians. Family history, weak link, course, type 2 diabetes, liver cirrhosis, that once you get it, you can't change it, but you can not get it by maybe monitoring alcohol consumption. I promised you a quick case study in my brief time with you. We have a 73-year-old Caucasian female. She is suffering from symptoms of a lot of distress in her digestive system. She is beginning to turn yellow, jaundice we call that, in skin and sclera, the whites of her eyes. She is having very dark urine and very light stools, kind of a switch on that. And she begins to itch just systematically all over her body, which is what drives her finally to the physician despite these symptoms. It is suspected that she has a bile duct obstruction, which she does. At the head of her pancreas, they find a tumor. Pushing that close, so some of that jaundice was a buildup of a waste product in the body, building up in her tissues. She is a candidate for surgery. Only 20% of those diagnosed with pancreas cancer are candidates for surgery. That's a plus in her case. She's going to have to go through chemo and radiation and do a lifelong use of replacement pancreatic enzymes with every meal. Let's talk a little bit about that surgery. I promised you today a broad overview, some terminology as we move forward in this volunteer season. Whipple procedure, pancreaticoduodenectomy, great big word. It's a very invasive surgery. They go in and they pretty much clear a margin, they call it. Take out a tumor, clear the gallbladder, this entire gray margin, and in her case, sewed her back up to look a little bit like it does on your right. This is a procedure named by James Whipple, who came up with it and perfected it starting in 1935. We call that an eponymous name. She comes through that with flying colors, by the way. So you may be wondering, because early on, the surgery itself could take someone's life. You can see how invasive it is. So you may be asking me, well, what about our patient? What about our case study? Did she make it? Is she still with us? Yes. I'm happy to say the answer to that question is that she's still with us. She's a 7-year survivor. She'll celebrate 8 years of survival in January. And if you're wondering who she is, she's my mom. Thank you all so much. I look forward to working with you. Here's my contact information as we move forward. And be sure to bookmark pancan.org for all the latest on pancreatic research. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster.